Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to the DigiEduHack 2025 webinar series. After the summer break, we are delighted to continue with our fourth session titled Inclusive Digital Education, Applying Universal Design for Learning at Scale. Today, we will explore how universal design for learning can make education more inclusive for all learners from early childhood to higher education, and how hackathons, born innovations, and technology can help us scale these efforts across Europe. Join me today are our four wonderful experts, and now I will introduce them. We'll start with Božena Vrgoc from STEM Institute Zagreb from Croatia. Welcome, Božena.
Hi, hello.
Michalis Spyropoulos from Luxembourg Media Digital Design Center from Luxembourg. Welcome, Michalis. Liis Siiroja from EdTech Estonia from Estonia. Welcome, Liis.
Greetings to everyone.
And Jose Maria Cañas Plaza from University of Rey Juan Carlos from Madrid from Spain.
Hello.
Welcome, Jose.
Hello.
Thank you for all of you for being here, and I think we are ready to start with our first segment and to open our discussion. So in this first segment, we will hear from Božena and Michalis about how universal design for learning is being embedded at national and policy levels. But before we dive into the questions, I would like shortly to ask you, Božena and Michalis, to introduce yourself. We can start with Božena.
Thank you very much, Slavko. My name is Božena. I'm coming from Croatia. I'm a founder of the Institute for STEM Education and After-School Programs. My work actually focuses on designing and implementing inclusive STEM programs for children and young people, both within schools and in after-school settings.
Thank you, Božena. Michalis, please could you shortly introduce yourself?
Of course. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Michalis Spyropoulos, and I'm responsible for partnerships, knowledge dissemination, and communication at the LMDDC. LMDDC stands for Luxembourg Media and Digital Design Center. A few words on who we are. We are funded by the Ministry of Research and Higher Education in Luxembourg, and we operate as a public startup specializing in EdTech. Our mission is to accelerate the adoption of digital learning technologies by training organizations in general, which is why we define ourselves as a digital enabler for skill development in Luxembourg. And a key part of my role is to represent the LMDDC, to enhance our visibility and to disseminate our expertise. I'm delighted to be here and I look forward to the discussion.
Thank you, Michalis. I think we are now ready to start with the questions. So, Božena, I will start with you. In Croatia, how are universal design for learning principles being reflected in early childhood education policy or national curriculum?
Well, in Croatia, we don't really have the term of universal design for learning, but we do implement some principles in our national curriculum. So, for example, we see UDL principles being reflected in early childhood and preschool policy and curriculum in several ways. For example, in the national curriculum for early and childhood and preschool education, it actually sets a framework that emphasizes equity, inclusion, and differentiated support for children's diverse needs. As well, the occupational standard for early childhood educators in Croatia includes inclusive education, we call it like that, as a core competence. It means that educators are expected to plan and deliver educational processes aligned with inclusion principles. If we talk about the policy reforms, there is a move to expand the preschool program to improve access, which supports the UDL aim of removing barriers to participation. As well, we do have some kind of tutors which are helping teachers to actually implement UDL principles in the classrooms. In practice, also, research of early childhood settings in Croatia shows that many educators strive for warm and responsive relationships. So basically, we do adapt like physical and social environments and efforts to adjust materials and spaces to children's interests. all of which resonate with UDL's flexibility and diversity principles. I could say that the implementation is uneven in Croatia. We have resource limitations, we have local autonomy, of course, and gaps in monitoring and educator training, but that is not in every preschool or school environment. Not all of them lives up to these principles, but the policy scaffolding is there, we can say that, and that's where our work can help strengthen alignment between intent and practice, like to just bring them together.
Thank you, Božena, for detailed overview from Croatia, and it's always good because we are. This is one of the reasons because we are mixed people who are coming from different countries, and with you, we are now we are covered 20 countries, and it's really nice to hear the observation from the Croatia, and it's given us the opportunity to maybe compare it now with the Luxembourg. So Michalis, given to Luxembourg's multi-language and multicultural context, yeah. How is universal design for learning integrated to national digital education and innovation policy? What is the situation in Luxembourg right now?
Okay, so as you pointed out, Slavko, the local context here in Luxembourg is highly diverse, which I see as a real strength. And this linguistic and cultural diversity provides fertile ground for inclusive practices, particularly in education. Let's take a brief look at some interesting data and figures from this landscape. So Luxembourg is officially trilingual with Luxembourgish, French, and German, all in use across society, including in the education system. Over 60% of pupils do not have Luxembourgish as their mother tongue, and nearly 40% of them hold a foreign nationality. So the national education system recognizes this reality and is actively working to build on it and mitigate any disadvantages through concrete steps, particularly by integrating UDL principles in primary and secondary education, where they serve really as a cornerstone of inclusive education. Over the past 20 years, school inclusion has gained strong momentum, and legislative changes since 2004 reflect this priority, with the most recent amendments being made in 2023, so it's very recent, which led to significant improvements in support services and infrastructure for pupils with special educational needs. And this commitment was further strengthened by a national evaluation of the entire inclusion support system in 2022. And the final report, which is available online in French, identified 6 main areas for improvement. And I would like to briefly mention the first one, which emphasized the need to increase knowledge of the principle of inclusive education and of the special needs system. And to address this particular point, the Ministry of Education has decided to take concrete measures, such as the creation of a specific master's degree at the University of Luxembourg in inclusive education from the 24-25 academic year, the development of a range of training courses for teachers on the education of pupils with special needs, and the increase of financial resources dedicated to communication and awareness raising missions on inclusive education. And the broader vision of inclusive education is encapsulated in the national pedagogical framework titled A School for All, which has led to the provision of adapted teaching to emphasize inclusion where possible and desired, rather than defaulting to specialized institutions, to the establishment of 8 competence centers for specialized psychopedagogy, and to the creation of a new administration called the National Service for Inclusive Education on July 2023. So I would say that Luxembourg multilingual and multicultural context is acknowledged not only in national education policy, but also as a catalyst for inclusive innovation. And I will end by mentioning our Minister of National Education, Claude Maisch, who emphasized in his recent back-to-school speech that we must continue to invest in inclusion to ensure that pupils with special needs can grow together at school.
Thank you, Michalis. Yeah, it was a really nice overview, and you confirmed this multicultural, multi-language actually context of the Luxembourg, and as both of you are national ambassadors in the EU initiative DigiEduHack from Croatia and Luxembourg, I think it will be really interesting to see like outputs from the DigiEduHack competition in November from the both of your countries. But right now, no, Božena, I would like to ask you after this like overview on the national policies, how can UDL be effective applied in early STEM education? Because you are specialist for the STEM education, and especially for these neurodiverse and gifted children.
Well, thank you. This is actually my field of expertise. So basically, we do these things within the Institute of STEM Education every day. So universal design for learning can actually be a very powerful framework in early STEM education. I can speak about this because I'm a teacher as well and a pedagogist. It actually gives us teachers a practical way to meet the needs of both neurodiverse and gifted children in the same classroom. Also, like children with no special needs and like regular development, regular kids. For example, if we talk about the principles of the UDL for engagement, STEM activities can be designed with different entry points and levels of challenge. I will give you some examples, like building tasks with blocks or robotics can have a simple version for those who need more structure, and optional challenge cards for children who are ready to go deeper. Also, if we talk about principle like representation, what can we do? Like concepts should be shown in multiple ways. We always talk about this in pedagogical ways, but in a practical way, it means that we should present concepts through stories, through visuals. What we prefer in STEM is a hands-on methodology. So basically, kids are very manipulative with tools, with EdTech equipment, and so on. We use short videos or even music and movements. I don't know if you heard about TPR, like total physical response, when you combine learning new things with physical movement, which helps actually your brain to get some new and gain some new some new knowledge and new oh my god, my brain just blocked. Some new things like special STEM things. This supports actually children who process information differently. So maybe some of us are more auditive, some of us are more visual, some of us are more tactile, so on, so on. So we basically need to cover all these segments. Also, for action and expression, children should be able to show their learning in diverse ways. So you know how in regular schools, children actually have to write essays or do some tests and so on. We actually, by using STEM principles, we help them to show what they have been learning and their knowledge by programming, by building within the engineering part of the STEM. They do code simple sequences. They can show their learning by drawing, by explaining orally, or maybe taking photos or of their work, or so on. So basically, for neurodiverse learners, the predictable routines, visual schedules, and sensory-friendly options are very, very, very helpful. That's why we use educational technology in STEM as well. For gifted children, open-ended problems and space for independent exploration are crucial. So when you have gifted kids in your classrooms or in your workshops, you really have to give them all the tools you have and just let them be. Let them explore, and they often do more things than us as educators or STEM experts because they are not afraid of making mistakes. So in practice, UDL in early STEM is about designing activities that have a low floor and a high ceiling. That's how we say that in a pedagogical way. Which are actually easy for every child to enter, but with no limit to how far they can take their learning. And I think the STEM is the best concept for kids to explore and to actually use their body holistically, like their brain, their hands, to actually make their thinking clearer and critical thinking as well, developing critical thinking. So basically, I think it really is aligned with UDL.
Thank you, Božena. And I think like a lot of your examples will for sure motivate some of our participants to apply some of them in their solutions, most probably during the DigiEduHack. And also it will be really nice after the webinar if you could share with you, because I already saw a lot of your beautiful examples from your STEAM Institute, and maybe we can share it with our attendees as well as the other examples from our speakers. We can on the follow-up email when we'll provide certificates to show to can actually, it was like imagination with your exploitation, but to see how it works in a real uses cases. And I think you mentioned one really important thing, this problem solving and critical thinking, because now the all other topics before almost were related to the digital skills, digital literacy, AI, and all these things. But we cannot forget that these skills will be much more crucial during the future, because we now have a lot of these like easy tools which solve the real problems for us, but we must stay to develop this critical thinking and problem solving.
Yes, and I would also add social emotional skills, because when you have gifted children in your classroom, often they have like social emotional issues. They can build the robots, they can do simple or maybe advanced code or programming or something like that, but they cannot handle when they are not successful, when they are not the best, when they are not first. They can't work in a team. So we do have to think about those things, and actually our approach is not just STEM approach or STEAM, because when we say STEAM, there's an A. We also do try to work on the creativity as well. We can't forget this part, but we are holistic beings, and we really have to take care of all these aspects of a human being. Although I am in this EdTech field, I also I need to stress and point out these important things like social emotional skills, which are really crucial, especially in early years. So how we manage our emotions, how we deal with it, how we actually work in a team, and so on.
Thank you, Božena. Now we can come back to Michalis to see actually what the role do public-private partnership like your organization where you're working in, you shortly introduce your organization during your presentation, play in supporting this inclusive EdTech innovation. As Božena presented how she actually support, but we are also interested to see how it works in Luxembourg with your organization as well, Michalis.
Thank you, Slavko. So here I will take maybe a slightly different direction and use a different angle. But at the end of the day, the result is the same, that we all work for inclusive EdTech innovation. The LMDDC is a really good example of a public startup, more than a public-private partnership, that drives forward inclusive innovation in EdTech, not only because of what we do, but of how we do it. So let me explain. We have adopted core values, like everyone, that shape our DNA, and those are open standards, open source, and accessibility. And when I refer to accessibility, it's both the technological and the pedagogical one. And these foundational design criteria guide every stage of our work, from the concept to the deployment. Because we firmly believe that education and knowledge are common goods. So let me elaborate a little bit on these values that I mentioned. So first of all, by building on open standards, we ensure that our solutions are interoperable, adaptable, and seamlessly integrated into the learning tools and platforms of our educational partners. And this lowers barriers for schools and training organizations, making it easier to combine various digital tools, LMSs, platforms, etc. Second of all, our commitment to open source. So I invite you to check our websites and you will see it immediately. It's more than a statement, it's an actual philosophy and way of doing things. So our commitment is to open source tools empowers our partners to check, to modify, and to share educational content and learning experiences as they please, so they can suit the exact pedagogical needs of their target audiences. And of course, this encourages the reuse and the scalability of digital resources. It promotes transparency and trust, and it supports long-term sustainability by avoiding vendor lock-in and proprietary systems. And the last aspect, accessibility, for us, as I mentioned, is both technical and human-centered. And it's really rooted in our commitment to education for all. On the technological side, we prioritize universal design principles, compatibility with assistive technologies, and compliance with international standards. And on the pedagogical side, we promote content and platforms that reflect the principles of UDL, offering multiple means of engagement, representation, and expression with all learners in mind. Our goal is really to support the full range of learner variability by providing flexible pathways that empower every student to succeed. And in this regard, I would like to give also an example. We are particularly proud of an ongoing project with the Office for the Monitoring of the Accessibility of Products and Services. The acronym is OSAPS. And OSAPS is a public organization responsible for monitoring the compliance of accessible products and services on the Luxembourg market, especially SMEs. And to help those companies meet these requirements, OSAPS provides them with a learning platform and training that does not require any prior knowledge of accessibility of web or web development. And we developed at the LMDDC this platform and the short training modules using open source. And on top of that, we are hosting the solution. Here again, I invite you to check our website for more information. And I will end my answer to this question here.
Thank you, Michalis. And I also shared a lot of important things, and I think a lot of your solution actually support like this multicultural and multilingual, because with all of this like co-creation things, sustainability, and other, like you show your organization as the real example how to apply UDL on the level of the Luxembourg. And also, as I invited Božena, please you also shared with our dear attendees link to your open source actually platform, and then all of us can benefit, because it's like the main aim of all of this is to be on the same side, as we are coming from the different cultural things. And Božena mentioned that some of participants would like to be first, and this maybe this specific from some, I don't know, Balkan countries. Michalis, as your origin is also from Balkan, yeah, from the Greece, but for some others, some other approach works maybe best. And we need to understand all of our students and the future generation, provide as much as possible different solutions which could actually be the most useful for all of them. And I believe that the both of you give really cool insights from the national level, but not only which could be applied for the national, but for sure to be internationally and wired applied. So before we'll closing this first segment, I would like to also include our attendees in our webinar. as they don't have opportunity to ask directly the questions. But just to remind you, as in previous our spring webinars, you have this Q&A section, and if you have any questions, please free to ask. And during the last segment, we will have all of our four speakers and dear guests. We will try to answer on it. But before we are going with this Q&A, I would like to now share one poll with you just to see your opinion. And okay, let me the second. Now I hope that you can see the poll. Yeah, and our first poll for today is: to what extent do you feel your country's education policy support inclusive digital education based on UDL principles? I would like to receive in maybe 1 minute some responses from you so we can compare the results. Okay. 10, 9, 11, 7, 6, 5, 12, 4. I give more seconds for you. 2, 20, 1, done. Okay. To see the answers of our attendees, yeah, answers are really diverse. I suppose that we have people from different countries, as I think in first 3 webinars we have the people from 90 countries. So the results are really different, and now we can see that. I will show the results with you. You will see that there is actually moderate level is with 36% leading, slightly 28, then not at all, and very strong. So we can conclude based on these questions, according to the how national educational policy support actually this inclusive digital education, that we are on some intermediate level based on the overview of our attendees. And now I think we are ready to go with our second segment. So we can shift the focus to practical tools and the grassroots innovation with Liis and Jose Maria. Liis and Jose, before we begin, I would like also to ask you to shortly introduce yourself. Liis, we can start with you.
Hi, my name is Liis Siiroja. I'm here to represent EdTech Estonia, which is an umbrella organization for the Estonian EdTech solutions. We currently have already more than 60 members. And in Estonia in general, we have calculated that there are more than 100 teams working on different educational solutions as we speak. And this is a very big number for a country as small as Estonia, being less than 1.5 million citizens. The second reason why I'm here today is also that I'm a co-founder of an EdTech called Video Call. A Video Call offers video calls for kids, meaning it's an online play group for multilingual kids to learn and practice one of the mother tongues in multilingual families that you might not have access to otherwise. And in this video call format, we are very committed to all the UDL principles.
Thank you, Liis. Nice to have you in this webinar. And Jose Maria, could you please shortly introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. My name is Jose Maria Cañas. I'm faculty at the Universidad Rey Juan Carlos in Madrid, where I teach robotics in an engineering degree, a robotics software engineering degree. And at the same time, I head the JD Robot open source organization, which develops software for artificial intelligence systems and robotics. So that we have developed several tools for teaching robotics. So maybe that's a short presentation.
Thank you, Jose Maria. And I think we are now ready to starting with our questions. Liis, if you're ready, we would like to start with you. And how does Estonia's digital education strategy support inclusive language learning for multi-language or expert families?
First of all, in general, our current education strategy, which is meant for the time frame of 2021 up to 2035 and coordinated by the Ministry of Education and Research, truly prioritizes equal access and high quality learning for all learners. On the state level, Estonia is very committed to help out learners with different needs. Since we are a very small country and small market, it is a very hard job to do because there are very little good solutions out there that also have the support of Estonian language. But the state has committed to try to develop as many solutions as possible. To also include in the strategy part is that in the time of AI, you might have heard that Estonia has a big initiative called the AI Leap, which has been created in order to include AI solutions in the school and make them available also for the teachers. But besides of training the students and the teachers, there is a third very big goal, and this is a strategic goal. So in the framework of AI Leap, with the help of psychologists and many other researchers, neuro researchers, etc., we are currently in Estonia rethinking what teaching even means or should mean in the time of AI. So with this background, this is now the research and cooperation that is being done in order to have in the future even more UDL principles applied to different solutions. The motto behind this, or the core message behind it, is that we want AI not to be an assistant or a tool that does the work for you in a very short time, but to be the coach that really helps you to think things through and to boost a deep learning. So those are the strategical aspects currently in Estonia. But now to come to a few maybe more direct examples. So first of all, Estonia we have a lot of Russian-speaking people in Estonia, currently also very many Ukrainian-speaking people. So in our classrooms, there are in everyday multilingual or bilingual kids. And also currently we are in the shift of moving from Russian-speaking schools into Estonian-only schools. And in order to support this initiative, the state, the municipalities have created extra funding for the schools to be used in order to boost the language learning in these multilingual settings. By doing that, the municipalities give autonomy for the schools and even for the teachers to decide what kind of solutions can be used. This means that the teachers can use these, or the schools can use these funds to choose from different solutions, including solutions that are implementing the UDL principles, which means that, for example, in the case of video call, the small EdTech that we have co-founded, also these solutions can now be integrated into the classroom or offered to the students after school. This means that we have cooperations going on with a few of kindergartens, for example, where the teachers can use our video call online play groups, which have a trained coach in the time of the kindergarten daily program. We have also other EdTech solutions in Estonia that offer help to bilingual families and kids in the language learning. For example, a new EdTech called DuoTale, which is exactly tackling this issue. We have a member called Key to Enable. They are providing tools for kids with communication difficulties to be able to communicate better in the classroom. This means also, in some examples, autistic children that are not able to speak at all. Besides that, maybe the last thing to mention is that the Estonian state and our education and research ministry is also working on a platform or a tool to help the multilingual and expat families to choose from all the different programs and materials out there. The aim for that is that if you move to Estonia, or maybe you have already settled in a few years ago, but still have the need to boost your language skills, then hopefully at some point you have a platform that shows you all the different opportunities out there. Some are maybe for free for you, some may cost some money, but this is a way to provide and showcase different solutions for all the different needs.
Thank you, Liis, and thank you for presenting the situation in Estonia. According to the last PISA results, you will be the leading country in Europe in education, yeah, on the first place, but also you have all digital public services, yeah, 100% public digital services, the first country worldwide. And I can confirm it from my experience because I moved from Serbia to Estonia since 1st of September, and yeah, you are really digital and everything is related to digital education, AI, and a lot of innovation for, like you mentioned, small country, but a lot of new solutions which you provide on the worldwide level. Now we can, but you also mentioned AI Leap, and as Jose Maria expertise is in AI and robotics, maybe now we can switch to the Spain to ask Jose, how is inclusive robotics and AI education being promoted between Spanish national or regional educational systems?
Well, maybe with different initiatives. I mean, one of them, maybe the most important one, is that in the Madrid region, the government has introduced in the official curriculum a new course named Technology and Digitalization, just alone 4 different years in the secondary education. So all the students in the Madrid community just start learning AI and also robotics at a very short age. So they dedicate like more than 3 hours a week just to teach technology concepts, including robotics and also artificial intelligence contents. That's one initiative. Second one is just the region government also has recently equipped 2,000 schools with more than 13,000 robots, programming boards, and sensors, just to provide the teaching equipment for learning these topics, right? And also in not a K-12 education, but higher, I mean, in the university level, just many different degrees and masters have been fostered by the different governments all along the country. For instance, in my university, we created a robotics degree in like 6 years ago, right? So many different degrees have been fostered in order to teach robotics and AI education.
Thank you, Jose Maria, for your overview from the Spain, and as you also coming and also from the representative from the higher education, but also you have your own company. I hope so that you will give us much more these technical details in the next question. But now I would like also to hear from Liis. You mentioned some design principles, but could you now explain us what are the key design principles you applied at EdTech Estonia to ensure all learners feel represented and supported?
First of all, I would like to start with pointing out that at EdTech Estonia, our members cover a very wide scale of solutions. So there are solutions for the early age, there are solutions for K-12, there are solutions for universities, vocational institutions, etc., and also lifelong learning solutions for employers, for example. This means that we are representing a very wide range of EdTechs that are tackling different problems. And of course, some of them are more into serving specific needs for very specific groups. For example, we have a new member called Georg, who is helping ADHD and neurodivergent students. So in some cases, these key principles are more implied, and in some cases not. But more than that, EdTech Estonia sees that the way that we can ensure these goals, we do it mostly in two ways. First of all, we have very many research cooperation projects with the Estonian universities, the Tallinn University, Tartu University, but also with international universities. So by including researchers and also practitioners, we help the EdTechs to think about including all the learners, to be more even informed about the different needs of different learners. And this is a way to shift the mindset in this direction to help the goals with the UDL principles. Secondly, we organize yearly hackathons. And in many cases, at those hackathons, we focus on specific needs again. So, for example, last year we organized a hackathon together with Tallinn University and TalTech University in Tallinn, and the focus was on vocational institutions. So, in this case, we tried to include and represent needs of all learners by first of all understanding where there are gaps, where there is a need for a solution and it's still not out there. And we try to find these solutions via hackathons, for example. I can also mention, I don't say Slavko, but I'll continue then. If I still have a few seconds, then I'd like to mention a third thing that we are very keen on doing at EdTech Estonia, and this is the so-called co-creation program. This means that we've had the luck for the past few years to have an incubator program for very early stage EdTechs. And this incubator program, the so-called co-creation program, unites and brings together researchers, practitioners, teachers, kindergarten teachers, and the founders. And this, by using this combination, this again helps also the founders and the developers to be aware of the different needs and to cater also.
Thank you, Liis. I had one interesting situation right now, some electricity problems, and you mentioned, all of these things. It's always happened with the technology, and it was funny for me because electricity stopped, and I cannot I disappear. And now Božena sent me private message, "Where are you?" But successfully I can come back and we can continue our discussion. And thank you for presenting EdTech Estonia. And now, Jose Maria, I think maybe we are ready to switch for the questions, as I mentioned to you, according to your company. And maybe you can now explain to us how does the GDA robot organization, which you lead, contribute to promoting accessible, inclusive, and open source robotic education across different learning groups?
Yeah. So we at GD Robot just develop robotics teaching tools and artificial intelligence teaching tools. And we have developed two of them, also with the help of Google Summer of Code. One of them is Unibotics, which includes an open source robotics academy as a collection of robotics challenges for university students. So one way of keeping them engaged is just providing them examples from real life. For instance, just programming real robots or robots in real applications, such as vacuum cleaners, autonomous cars, and robots at the warehouse for automation. Another tool that we have developed is Kibotics. This is intended for K-12 students, and we also provide their robotic challenges to keep them motivated, and starting with simple samples towards more complex applications, but keeping them engaged with Scratch programming or Python programming. One of the key points is, in order to provide equal access to learning tools, is that we use web-based tools, and also we use extensively simulators. So that way the learning tools can be used from anywhere and from anyone without without barriers.
Thank you, Jose Maria. And also, please share with us, but I think our colleague Sirli and Dalo, they already shared in the chat some links to your companies. Also, Liis, as well, as Estonia and EdTech Estonia, you have a lot of really cool applications and solutions from your companies. Maybe we can provide these which are related to the UDL in the follow-up email to all of our attendees. And it could be really beneficial for all of us. Now I think we can continue with our third segment, so we can come back with Michalis and Božena. I hope that you are still here, that you didn't have the same problems as me. But yeah, I hope that you can hear me well. And it's always something interesting happens when you're hosting some things, and then it's related to digital education or on technical side. But now, as all of you four are there, I think that we are ready for the final segment. And I would like from you to share your expertise perspective on co-creation and the future of UDL. As now you have a little rest, Božena and Michalis, I will start with you, and then we will switch to Liis and Jose. Božena, what kind of hackathons or co-creation initiatives have you seen work best in generating practical solutions for inclusion? Or could you provide some of your ideas, as we know that you are, as the Croatia will have now hackathon, which will represent your country in November during this competition?
Yeah, well, in my experience, the co-creation initiatives that work best are the ones that are small, like individual, practical, and directly connected to classrooms. So basically hackathons that bring together teachers or university students, NGOs, and families actually create very powerful dynamics. I say this because the hackathon, which will be hosted in Croatia, the host is a university, and they will also include their teachers, professors, NGOs, and students. And when solutions are shaped not only by the technology experts, but also by the people who will actually use them. So the most successful events I've seen required teams to test their prototypes in a real classroom or preschool or, I don't know, college, even briefly, and then refine them based on children's or students' responses. So basically, the small ones actually work best when we are all gained together. Another effective approach is combining like short design hackathons, let's say so, followed up with incubators. So, for example, the sprint generates creativity and energy, and the incubator ensures that the solutions and some pilot projects are documented and shared openly so others can adopt them and use them and use all the resources that are done within this incubator. So I would say perhaps if we combine like the regular hackathon and incubator, it would work the best.
Thank you, Božena, and thank you for sharing. We are looking forward to see the solution from the DigiEduHack 2025 from Croatia and to see how it works. I think like the next step could be this incubation and actually to make the new startups or spin-offs from this DigiEduHack initiative, and maybe it could be like one step forward for sure.
I agree.
Michalis, now come back to you and Luxembourg. What would the UDL future developments in Europe focus on? What are you think if you had anticipate them?
It's always a delicate mission to talk about the future. And of course, in order to answer this question, first we must consider current trends and policy directions, as well as emerging educational needs. So, granted, UDL principles are gaining traction as a pillar of inclusive education, but several strategic developments are needed for it to be meaningfully adopted across diverse European systems. And I hope the followings will be realized, but again, it's yes, always delicate. So the first thing that would be nice to have is a further integration into national educational systems. The participants probably know that, but education remains a national competence. And there are significant differences between member states, as the poll earlier showed, be it in terms of curriculum flexibility, teacher training, infrastructure, and so on, which makes the UDL uptake uneven. So in this regard, we could expect perhaps a stronger integration of those principles, of UDL principles, into national curricula and teacher training. And those could be encouraged by EU frameworks, such as the European Education Area or the European Pillar of Social Rights. We could also expect the development of policy guidance to support member states in embedding UDL principles into legislation, funding, or school inspection frameworks, for instance. And the last point would be perhaps to expect the creation of proper national, UDL implementation frameworks and capacity building initiatives, such as appointing dedicated coordinators within ministries or local and regional education agencies. So that would be my, let's say, the first angle. The second one is the expansion of UDL in teacher education and professional developments. And so here again, I hope we manage to reach that goal, because UDL is not systematically included in initial teacher education or professional development. And so we could expect here to see some workforce upskilling through, for instance, broader inclusion in teacher programs, especially at the start of their career, so that it could become a core component rather than an optional one. And this would ensure that every new teacher enters the profession equipped with a baseline understanding of how to design inclusive, learner-centered environments from day one. Another aspect would be the development and scaling of EU-funded micro-credentials, CPD modules, and learning platforms offering flexible UDL in multiple languages to reach as large a population as possible. And finally, we could hope for the growth of transnational training programs. And here I could give the example of the Erasmus Plus Key Action 2 initiative, which was a great platform to disseminate educational best practices and resources and foster communities of practice among educators. Well, the last angle, of course, is not really original. It's AI, digital and AI-powered personalization aligned with UDL. Everyone is aware of the rapid expansion of AI in education. I was in Paris I attended the Digital Learning Week. It was breathtaking. But this aspect can only be beneficial if it's guided by clear pedagogical principles and a commitment to values such as equity, sovereignty, and data protection. I could give some anticipated developments in this area, which might include the growth of free, accessible, and personalized chatbots that allow teachers to customize their courses and students to access information in a variety of ways. The development of adaptive learning platforms that dynamically adjust content delivery, difficulty levels, and modes of engagement based on individual learner profiles. And this platform, we are actually working on a similar project, and this platform could use real-time data to offer learners multiple pathways through learning material consistent with UDL principles. And finally, AI could help build open multilingual digital repositories of UDL aligned content and tools co-developed across member states. And these repositories could become central hubs for sharing knowledge, tools, and reusable learning resources that could benefit underserved or linguistically diverse communities.
Thank you, Michalis. I think you open a lot of new questions and a lot of new angles, which could be definitely helpful for our participants to come on this with their solutions. So maybe can provide some new solutions which we can use on the national level, as you mentioned, but also on the international. Liis, now we are going with Estonia and with you. What advice would you like to give to developers designs for learners with varying linguistic and cultural backgrounds?
Now I'm speaking to all the teams out there that are just started to work on their solutions, or maybe planning, or maybe having an idea in the head. And my first advice is the one that you will hear from every mentor. From the day one, include your users, the target group, and if possible, include also from day one the field experts. By saying that, I mean that even if you feel that you understand the problem and that you have a very good idea to solve it, you can never ever understand all the variety of needs out there, and it is the most important thing to do it from day one together with the users. This will give you the first of all the information about the needs out there, even so that you can adapt further based on them. Second advice would be that if you include the users from day one, and if you have a chance to include also the field experts, then this helps you to understand all the specific needs about how your user group processes information. So you start to think about aspects of like, what does it even mean, like, let's say, linguistic differences, because it's even broader, because these are like communicational differences, right? How does your user process the information? Do they maybe need small chunks of information or bigger chunks? Do they need a lot of visual materials to support processing the information, or not so much? Do they need maybe simplified language to be able to really use your solution or not? So these are all the aspects that you will be much more aware of when you're working together with your users and experts. And finally, when you already have your MVP, you have already hopefully very satisfied users. Maybe you are even thinking about exporting at some minute. Then always, if you're thinking and if you're getting to the step of export, please think not only about translating the language, but also think about the cultural localization. So all the aspects of the cultural aspects that become very important when you move from one region to another.
Thank you, Liis, and I hope so that our attendees will remember this, that user must be always in the center of the all stories, and everything is actually built up for the users, and the users are like the starting point also for the hackathons, and which problem they would like to solve for their future users. And now, as also Michalis mentioned, EU funded project, and I know that Jose Maria is very well involved in the Horizon Europe Erasmus project as the researcher from the university, but also with his own company. Jose, how do you see hackathons or EU projects helping co-design inclusive tools for complex disciplines?
Yeah, so they are definitely helping a lot. I mean, there are many different calls, both in Erasmus calls, KI 220, also for vocational education, school education, even higher education, that they're contributing because they just put together different profiles, just tool creators, teachers, students, and also pedagogical experts. And that combination definitely helps in order to perform nice pilot studies and testing appealing tools. But I also would like to add that the long-term sustainability of those tools after the projects is always a challenge, right?
Thank you, Jose. And I think we are on time, like 1 hour. So now it's time to say a big thank you for Božena, Michalis, Liis, and Jose for your insights and inspiring perspectives. And thank you for sharing your knowledge and expertise with us. Today we have seen how inclusive education is being advanced through different policy, technology, and grassroots innovation, but also how much work remains to ensure no learner is left behind. And I think that you open a lot of new questions which could be really beneficial for all of our participants. One reminder for them that all registered participants who attended this webinar will receive the certificate of attendance, but also looking ahead, mark your calendars for our next 2 DigiEduHack webinars, because now we are checked 4 out of 6, but in October we'll host blended learning innovation from pilot to larger scale webinar. And in November, just in 1 week before our starting our competition, we'll explore equity and access in digital education, overcoming Europe's digital divide. But also, as they are recruiting of the host, I would like to invite you for the next week, next Thursday, DigiEduHack networking activities. Already our colleagues shared with you the link for the registration. It's not too late to host the hackathon. It will be start next Thursday from 11 a.m. And you can find this registration link as well as with the LinkedIn post in our Q&A section. And what to say now, stay tuned on the DigiEduHack website. And also until then, I would like once again to say big thank you for all of our guests and speakers, but also thank you for all of you who are joining us. I would like to say enjoy your day and keep innovative towards a more inclusive digital future. Thank you and see you in October. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.